Tom, I'd like to begin today's segment with some special music. Brian?
Throw up your hands and raise your voice.
Montreal.
What's it called?
Montreal.
Once again.
Montreal. But Main Street's still all cracked and broken. Sorry, Mom. The mob has spoken. Montreal. Montreal. Montreal.
There you go. Monorail is kind of like we're getting, except now the government has decided to take away the idea from the Caisse de dépôt. Here's part of what Premier Legault said today.
It's an important project for the future of the east of Montreal, and I would say an important project for Montreal. So, of course, we have to make sure that it's a nice project, a beautiful project.
Mm-hmm. Apparently it wasn't going to be a nice project or a beautiful project. Tom, is this a big deal, taking this away from the Caisse de dépôt? This is a $10 billion project.
Look, this is why Francois Legault is far in advance of the other parties right now. This is the guy who's been the Premier of Quebec for the past 4 years. He's the one who tried to shove aside Valérie Plante and fought her way back into this file, saying, I'm not going to let you disfigure downtown Montreal. This is the heart of the city that I was just elected mayor of, and we want to be central to this decision-making process and at the table. Now, of course, the boys in Quebec City had decided otherwise. For 4 years, they pretended that Montreal didn't exist, that Valérie Plante wasn't really there, and that they, along with their buddies at the Caisse de dépôt and the Placement, would come up with the right decision, and everybody else just had to follow suit. Now they realize they have their own election coming up on October 3rd, and they're in a spot of trouble because nobody agrees with the design of this thing. They've completely ignored the city. So now he gets to the press conference today, and this is the magic of being Francois Legault. He sits there at the table with Valérie Plante and goes, I can't believe they've been completely ignoring the city of Montreal for the past 4 years. Who's been running this province? That's just terrible. I'm going to fix this horrible problem. Oh, it was me. I was the premier, but that doesn't matter. People will forget that because now I'm going to position myself and pretend that I'm the savior of a big, huge problem that I created. It's wonderful. I have rarely seen anybody who could twist himself into a pretzel like that and come away with it the way Legault did today.
Doesn't he get called out for this, though, Tom? Are we all blind to the fact?
It's amazing. It's like the Aaron residence. It's like the whole kerfuffle, the mess that we went through. We were at 15,000 deaths in Quebec now with the COVID-19 pandemic. We lost thousands upon thousands of seniors because they had a boneheaded decision to move seniors out of hospitals into CHSLDs, and it was horribly badly done. We never brought in the rule that was brought in Italy and in Ontario and in BC, saying you're not allowed to go from one CHSLD to another because you're the vector for the disease. They knew about it, but they didn't do anything about it. And there's never been a full inquiry into what happened here in the province of Quebec because the four opposition parties are so evenly divided they can never agree on anything. So they were never able to mount anything against any of these problems. By the way, there's one person who should be in a position to take advantage of this mess with regard to the REM in the east of Montreal, this new electric train that we were thinking of, and that's Dominique Anglade. I mean, she's a seasoned engineer. She knows what it's like to put together projects. These are the three biggest projects in the province of Quebec, and none of them has moved together forward one iota. The tramway in Quebec City, another multi-billion-dollar project, completely stalled because of the ineffectiveness and the incompetence of the Legault government in Quebec City. The famous third link, which was going to be one megatunnel, and as of 2 weeks ago, oh no, we're going to have two tunnels for the price of one. It's all baloney. It's just to be able to say something for the election campaign, and now today's announcement in Montreal. I mean, Legault is an incredible politician, but he's also totally inept when it comes to putting together big projects, but I don't think it's going to matter a fig when it comes time for voting in a new government in October.
So the other person I would think, would have been in a position to call him out is Valérie Plante, but obviously now she can't say anything. She has to play buddy-buddy and go along with this.
Well, of course, because she finally got what she wanted. She's been saying the same thing as the mayor of Quebec City. And the new mayor of Quebec City was saying, sorry, buddy, you don't get to decide exactly which road and everything is going to be taken up by this new tramway. But what's happening in Quebec City is Éric Duhem. Éric Duhem's base is Quebec City. He's running right in the heart of Quebec City in the Chauveau riding. He's got another one of his star candidates who just ran in Marie-Victorin. He's going to be running her in Quebec City. And, of course, the bunch, not only MNAs, but Legault's got a bunch of nervous Nelly members of his cabinet in the Quebec City area. So he's got to do everything he can to try to fix things up. And they're very pro-car and anti-tramway. So you can just imagine Legault's decision-making process is completely turned upside down by what's happening on the local political scene.
Now, and with regards to Dominique Anglade, we haven't heard anything from her today, the opposition calling him out on this?
Well, I'm expecting the oppositions to call him out on it, but it would be lovely to see some of our friends and colleagues in the media finally saying something about François Legault on this, because they've all been doing the analysis for the past year and a half, saying, oh, this thing really sucks. This is a horrible project, bringing this thing right down the middle of Dorchester, René Lévesque. You can just imagine you're in your hotel at the Queen E or something, looking out the window, and you got this thing going by. Nobody thought about it. Nobody talked about it. Nobody consulted about it. I mean, you can't make the 40 on the West Island look any worse. This actually adds a bit of modernity to it, and the thing is going to be ready to start by the end of the fall, so it's going to be very nice. But getting the thing out to the East End was a great idea, to the far end of the island, fantastic idea, but bringing it right into downtown Montreal with no consultation and no thought made no sense from the beginning. So Plante was right to dig in her heels, but now we're going to see whether or not they can actually ever get the thing off the drawing board.
Okay, I don't want to spend the entire break talking about this. Seems to me the Caisse de Dépôt built some pretty big projects. I mean, is this them walking away, or is this them being shoved out of the way?
Oh, they've already said it's either my way or the highway, literally, and they said if it's not this project, you can build your own. So now Legault is sort of going to try to talk his way into making people believe that somehow he's got $10 billion in his back pocket, because the Caisse de Dépôt is not allowed to invest its money unless it's making money. The whole thing was premised on the fact that it would be this long and it would go all the way downtown and it would have some degree of profitability, which of course goes out the window the minute they start playing with it, like they did today.
Okay.
So they've been happily shoved.
Yeah,
they're
probably relieved to be out of it. They wanted a project that would be like a model home. You know, they wanted people to say, "Well, this is what you can do with your money." From they could sell the whole concept. This is what you got a big teachers' pension fund. Here's the type of thing you can do with that money and make a profit. That was the whole purpose. They wanted to be able to show that the thing could be profitable. This thing is going to be a dog's breakfast, because what we learned in the process was we've got one branch of the metropolitan area that was determining, we need a commuter train out to Mascouche and Terrebonne. So now we've got that. But if they were putting this thing in, it was going to sap off most of the clientele for that, making the other one basically a dinosaur. So there was no central planning, no idea about what to do with the whole area. And you look at it's an alphabet soup of different government agencies, all with their own decision to make on this thing. So Legault, again today, I mean, I have to say, I admire the chutzpah and the pure politics of it, sitting there saying, my goodness, I've discovered that there's terrible management that's been going on for the past few years, and I'm going to make sure we fix it. It's brilliant.
All right, let me ask you real quick. Candidates announced for the island of Montreal. What do you make of this? Why are they bothering doing this?
I looked at the list that came out. There weren't any names on that list that, rang any important bells in the community. I'm sure they're all really well-intentioned people. I think that Legault, with the type of thing we saw today, is trying to put himself in a position to try to sell himself as maybe being pro-Montreal. He knows that he got elected outside of Montreal, and he really doesn't care a lot about the city itself, even though he lives here. But, his riding's way off in Lanaudière, and he really doesn't care that much about Montreal because he knows he's going to get reelected no matter what happens in Montreal. The real question about Montreal is what happens with the 4 extant opposition parties and perhaps 2 new Anglo parties. Is that going to play havoc in places like Laval, my old bailiwick provincially, which has always had one safe riding, which was Chamonix, and then the other ones are always touch and go. So will that start to lose some seats for the Liberals? That's what remains to be seen. And the campaign hasn't started yet. I mean, the Liberals, because of the number of votes they got the last time around, there's a system in Quebec where you get money per vote, and they do some fundraising, but they're actually not very good at it. But they have a pretty big war chest for the upcoming campaign. So if they spend it wisely, they could come up with a campaign that has a pretty wide impact and surprise a lot of people.
All right.
Unlike the 2 Anglo parties that have no money whatsoever. So they're going to basically keep their fingers crossed that those issues will stay in the news.
But might still surprise some people. Tom Mulcair, back tomorrow morning with Andrew Carter at about 7:40. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Take good care.